So, have you ever stopped to think about how a story that literally changes the world gets written? I mean, where does it even come from? Today, we're going on a bit of a literary detective hunt. We are going to pull back the curtain on one of the most influential books in history and find the secret blueprint that shaped the whole thing.
And just so you know, we're not making this up. Our guide for this whole deep dive is the fantastic scholarly work of Peter Mallon. His research is basically our map, and it's going to help us understand the deep, hidden structure of this incredible story. Okay, first things first, let's set the stage. You know, a lot of people think of the Gospel of Luke and the Acts of the Apostles as two totally separate books. But here's the thing. Scholars are pretty much all on the same page that they're actually two parts of one single, sprawling, epic story.
And that brings up a really fascinating question, right? I mean, if you were going to write a story that ambitious, where would you even begin? Do you just start with a blank page and make it all up? Or do you find some kind of blueprint to follow, a foundation that's already been laid?
Well, the author we call Luke was definitely ambitious. He wasn't just writing a simple biography. He was crafting this massive history that starts with Jesus and flows right into the explosive growth of the early church. It's a huge undertaking, really. So, if Luke Acts is the building, what's the blueprint? Well, let's get into what scholars have nicknamed the fifth gospel. Turns out Luke wasn't starting from scratch at all. He had a literary guide, a kind of thematic source code that he kept coming back to over and over again, the ancient scroll of the prophet Isaiah. And this isn't just some modern theory. As you can see from this quote, Isaiah was so incredibly central to how early Christians understood Jesus that they actually called it the fifth gospel. It was their key, you know, the thing that made sense of everything else. So just how deep does this connection really go? Well, for starters, Luke weaves 5 major extended quotations from Isaiah right into his story. And that's more than from any other single prophetic book. But get this, those direct quotes, they're really just the tip of the iceberg. Underneath the surface, scholars have found over 100 more subtle echoes and allusions to Isaiah. It's like it's woven into the very DNA of Luke's writing. And to put that into perspective for you, take a look at this. While the book of Psalms gets referenced a little bit more often, Isaiah's role is totally unique. It's not just being quoted for proof here and there. Its themes and its structure provide the actual framework for Luke's entire story. So how exactly did Luke use this blueprint? It's pretty amazing, actually. We can trace it by following 3 huge thematic clues that he pulls directly from Isaiah. See, Luke really zeroed in on these powerful ideas from Isaiah, concepts like the servant and what was going to happen with the nations. Let's just look at 3 quick examples of how he puts these to work. It's brilliant. First up, good news for the poor. In Isaiah, you have this incredibly powerful vision of liberation for the oppressed. So how does Luke kick off Jesus' public ministry? He has him stand up, unroll the Isaiah scroll, and read that exact passage out loud as his personal mission statement. I mean, it doesn't get much more direct than that. Second, there's the suffering servant. Isaiah chapter 53 talks all about this figure who suffers innocently for other people. For the early church, this was the absolute key to understanding the crucifixion. And Luke makes this crystal clear in Acts when the disciple Philip explains this very passage to the Ethiopian official saying, hey, this is about Jesus. And third, the light to the nations. And this one is huge. Isaiah prophesied that God's salvation wasn't just for Israel, it would extend to everyone. This idea becomes the driving engine of Luke's entire second book, the Acts of the Apostles. It's the whole theological reason for the mission to the entire world. But here's where it gets really interesting. Here's the twist. Luke isn't just, a copy and paste artist. He's a creative genius who takes this ancient prophecy and breathes a powerful new meaning into it. And that's this core concept of transformation. A good way to think about it is like a modern filmmaker adapting a classic novel. They don't just film the pages, right? They reinterpret the story for a whole new audience, giving it a new and sometimes even radical significance. And scholars like Brevard Childs point this out all the time. He notes that while there's continuity, there's also a remarkable discontinuity. The early Christians weren't just reading Isaiah, they were rereading it through the lens of Jesus, and that changed absolutely everything. So this is the real genius of Luke's work. He's making this profound argument. He's saying, yes, the story of Jesus is the ultimate fulfillment of what Isaiah promised, but it's happening in a way that no one, maybe not even the original prophet, could have ever fully seen coming. Okay, so why do we care? Why does tracing this ancient literary connection actually matter today? What's the big takeaway from all of this? It matters so much because this blueprint is basically a window straight into the mind of the early church. It shows us how they made sense of these revolutionary events. It reveals how they defined their own identity, how they understood Jesus, and what they believed their ultimate mission in the world was. And at the end of the day, uncovering this blueprint doesn't make Luke's work any less miraculous or inspired. Not at all. If anything, it just deepens our appreciation for the breathtaking vision of the architect who designed it all. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on, doesn't it? What are the ancient blueprints that are still, maybe silently, shaping the stories that we all tell and live by?